Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Whoops. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure. All Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, the Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content, all related to the topic of this presentation as well as the primary topics of the channel, which are options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step of my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be talking about setups in an underlying asset. My analysis is based on the options market, order flow, and hedging flow, but the setup I will be talking about an underlying asset. Setups can be taken with futures, options, or shares of stock. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel in Discord as well as the chat in YouTube for your questions and comments, so please feel free to post. All right, my agenda for today, what I want to cover is news items, economic data, events, and earnings for today as well as the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Excuse me. Then I'll review setups, and I'll go as cover as much as I can until 2 p.m. and then that is the FOMC announcement. And then finally we'll cover the live market, look at the live market at 2 p.m. All right, so news items for today. Obviously, the FOMC announcement at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and then the press conference begins at 2:30, just as my presentation will wrap up. So again, I'll cover as much as I can up to 2 p.m. and then we'll stop and watch the live market, primarily the S&P 500. All right, so first of all, again, FOMC meeting today, and the market, the CME futures, this is the CME Fed Watch tool, pricing in a 99% chance that there's no increase. So the current target rate, that's the current rate, 525 to 550, and the market is pricing in a 99% chance that that remains the same, and then a 1% chance of a 25 basis point increase. All right, so with this expectation, this high, the market will obviously be, market participants, the algos, will be parsing the statement and then the press conference for any changes. All right, just one note that Spotgamma is looking for a pretty big move after this meeting, either up to the 4,500 SPX call wall or down to the SPX 4,400 call wall. And we'll take a look at those levels in just a minute. All right, so that is the big event for today and the rest of the week. I didn't see any other high impact data coming out for the rest of the week. All right, let's get started with positional analysis now. This is the ES futures, S&P 500 futures in Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a larger time frame. I'm going to start with the 30-day 1-hour chart for SPX. This is showing the August 18th options expiration put dominated negative gamma rally that began on that day. And then here is the September expiration, slightly positive gamma but very call dominated. And so far price is trending lower after the September expiration. All right, let me point out some levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is just based on the options market. That's what the options market was pricing in for the week. And then the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. And right now it looks like SPX is trading within that range. That may change in 20 minutes. And the expected move for SPX today was plus or minus about 30 points. All right, let me point out Spotgamma levels on this chart. First of all, pretty narrow range here. Here's the 4,400 put wall. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels shown with the dark red lines. So that's the put wall, the strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. The next level up is 4,450. That is the volatility trigger. That is Spotgamma's proprietary gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. On the other hand, above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to subdue volatility. And then finally, the call wall is at 4,500. That's the strike with the largest absolute positive gamma. That is also the absolute gamma strike, so the strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. And the call wall can be expected to act as resistance. So again, Spotgamma was looking for a large move after the announcement today, either down to the put wall or up to the call wall. All right, let's take a look at the levels that are in play for today. Just to give you some perspective here, we'll include a little bit of yesterday. So now it looks like these two levels, the zero gamma level, did act as support in the morning. And now price has broken below that level, and also the volatility trigger. So the zero gamma level is at 44.51, and the volatility trigger just below that at 44.50. And note there was only one shift lower in levels for SPX from yesterday to today. No, there's just one shift lower. The volatility trigger shifted slightly lower from 44.60 to 44.50. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. So in Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, and I'm showing SPX levels. There's the 44.50 and the 44.51. 51 acting as support earlier today. I also have SPY levels on this chart. There's the 444, 443, and prices pretty much for most of the cash open session traded within that range between SPY 443 and 444. And note there's a pretty big price difference between SPX and ES, and today when I looked at it this morning it was about 46 points. So ES 4450, SPX 4450 is actually at ES 4496. So ES minus SPX today is 46. And we'll talk about setups in a few minutes. So, you know, all this is will change pretty significantly in 15, 16 minutes. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ, most likely. Take a look at NASDAQ, take a look at the levels in play. So here's actually before I take a look at this chart, let me go to a couple of charts. First of all, QQQ, to see the levels in play for today. Note this combo level, combo L1, it's an important level, combination of QQQ and NDX gamma, acted as resistance just before the cash open, and again just after the cash open, and now the 370 level is acting as resistance. 370 is the absolute gamma strike. Oh, and I forgot to mention for SPY, both the call wall and absolute gamma strike moved lower. Call wall down to 450 and the absolute gamma strike down to 440. And for QQQ, the put wall did shift slightly, quite a bit lower, from 370 to 350. Spotgamma noted that was because of the addition of about 25,000 puts at the 350 level. All right, then finally, let's take a look at NDX. Zoom in on this just a little bit. So here's the NDX call wall at 15,250. And then price is now hovering, trading around the volatility trigger at 175. All right, those levels are shown on my Bookmap chart. And my cloud notes again. There's the NDX 250 call wall. There's the QQQ 370 absolute gamma strike. And then the NDX 175 volatility trigger. All right, so those are the levels in play for today. We'll take a look at setups in a few minutes, just from this morning. We'll see what options traders are doing as well. All right, let's take a look at gamma notional. We'll see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. This will give us an idea of how market makers may react to changes in price and applied volatility. So this is gamma notional. Again, market makers position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day for SPX, SPY, NDX, and QQQ. Note all these numbers are negative. This is at the beginning of the day. Quite negative for SPY, 1.92 billion negative. Also negative for SPX and for QQQ. So this indicates for those indices that traders are long puts. Makes sense before an FOMC announcement. Market makers are short puts, and they have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. And let's take a look at the Vanna model now. This is the Vanna model for SPX. And let's just check for SPX. See where price is trading now. So I've got around 44.48. So that's pretty close to the bottom of the Vanna model here. So that's showing, let's zoom in on this. So somewhere just to the right of this line. So showing a very slight Vanna tailwind. What that means, so what this chart is showing is market makers delta notional. It's their delta exposure and how that changes with price on the horizontal axis. So delta notional on the vertical axis, price on the horizontal axis. There are two curves on this chart. The gray line is just showing how market makers delta notional will change with changes in price. And then the purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation, and that is showing how market makers delta notional will change with changes in price and implied volatility. So as I was saying before, if price increases and volatility decreases, implied volatility, there's a slight Vanna tailwind. Market makers can buy back short futures. But that's only good for a few points, and then that Vanna model really levels out. All right, so that's the Vanna model for SPX. Let's just take a look at QQQ. So we can get a sense of NASDAQ. So this curve is a little bit more typical of a negative gamma environment with a steep skew to the left. So I've got QQQ trading right around 369. So showing a little bit more of a Vanna tailwind for QQQ. Price increases, wrong tool. Price increases, implied volatility drops. Market makers can buy back short futures. All right, let's take a look at some setups now, and we'll see what options traders are doing. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the hero signal, hedging impact real-time options. What this chart is showing is price for SPX and options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal for SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. So if you trade any form of the S&P 500, this is the signal that you want to take a look at. All right, let's zoom in on this chart. So this is the cash open right here. Note this huge drop. Looks like a big block order right at the open, at the cash open. And let's take a look, separate out puts and calls. So somebody bought a lot of puts. That's shown by the blue line, falling blue line, negative negative notional value here, minus 2.4 billion. They are buying calls also, so they're buying puts. Right now that is 400 million positive. So put buyers definitely in charge today, much more aggressive. Let's just take a look and see what they were doing the last time I checked this in Thinkorswim. This is SPX, and this is the put volume. This may be hard to see, but this is all of these purple little rectangles indicating puts that expire today. So traders are buying September 20 puts. Let's just see what they're doing the last time I checked this. So I'm going to scroll up to the options chain for today. And the last time I checked this is the high volume for puts. And that is 44.55 to 4,400, maybe 43.95. No, I think it's 4,500. So notice all the high volume. This is volume for today. These are the strikes. These are what large traders are doing. You can obviously see the concentration of volume there. Then the 20 September options in the 44.55 to 4,400 strikes. All right, so they're buying puts. All right, let's take a look. So that really, if you were trading this morning, set up a nice short. Right around here, right around 10.12. So traders were buying puts. Initially, they were buying calls. That activity stopped. They actually started selling calls, and price dropped pretty sharply. As sharply as it can today in this pretty narrow range. So let's go take a look at the Bookmap. Go back to ES Futures. So anyway, if you were trading this morning looking for a short, here's that series of lower highs and then the short setup, that quick drop from 444 to 443. All right, let's go back to Hero now, see what options traders are doing. So they continue to buy puts, and they're right around 140, they started buying calls again. And price responded higher about 10 minutes later. Let's just check and see. 0 DTE. Sorry about that. I don't know why it zooms out so much. So the bulk of the volume is in the 0 DTE puts. We saw that in Thinkorswim, but they're also buying long-term puts as well. So this kind of light blue line is showing options that expire today. These are the puts they're buying that expire today. And then the blue line is showing all expirations. So that is options, longer-term options. So they're buying short-term and longer-term puts. Again, they're also buying calls, but the put buyer is more aggressive. Well, let's take a look at NASDAQ. I've got about 4 minutes left. I'm going to zoom in on this. So this is a combined signal for NDX and QQQ. And let's take a look. There was a setup this morning. Nice divergent short. Options traders taking negative delta positions. It took price a few minutes, then responded lower. And then it looks like right around 11:20, options traders started taking positive delta positions again, and price responded higher a few minutes later. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to NASDAQ. So here's the short setup at 371, that divergent short. That was good for about 2 points in QQQ, or about 80 points or so in NQ with that divergent short, confirmed by order flow. Give me just a moment. I want to get CNBC running on my other computer. Just so I can see any commentary. And hello, Hunter. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, so we're waiting on the Fed decision. So here's the long setup, preceded somewhat by large traders buying with iceberg orders they use to hide their size, and these are pretty small, but that's to be expected before the FOMC announcement. All right, let's go back to the S&P 500. Interesting, this large iceberg order. We'll zoom in on this. You can see by the falling light blue line. All right, I've got about 30 seconds. So I think between what I'm saying and YouTube, there is a delay. 20 seconds. So we know options traders have been buying puts all day, both 0 DTE as well as further out expirations. All right, 2 p.m. Initial reaction, sharp drop lower. Zoom in this. So no change. And Hunter, yes, just contact me in Discord, Doug P, with a direct message, and I'll be glad to answer your questions about one-on-one mentoring. All right, so it looks like so far an initial bearish reaction. Looks like the put buyers were on the right side of the trade so far. So I'm watching CNBC. I haven't seen anything about the statement. So a quick drop from 443, which was around, which was support earlier today, down to the 44.35 level. That was noted as support in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. We'll see what options traders are doing. Let's go back to S&P 500. Actually, I'm going to go back to a quicker look back period so we can get instead of looking at the entire day's worth of data, I'm just going to look at the last 30 minutes. Let's zoom in. So they started buying calls right around 1:30, shown by the rising orange line, and then the put buyers kind of stopped. So price responded higher until the announcement dropped sharply lower. Traders continue to buy puts. Let's go back to Bookmap. Note all the sell iceberg orders. And the green volume dots, those are showing buy minus sell. Market orders, there were some aggressive buyers there. And large traders selling that with iceberg orders. Large traders continue to sell with iceberg orders. So the move lower is being fueled by put buyers, large traders with iceberg orders. Looks like there were also some sell stop orders that's shown by the yellow line, the falling yellow line. Now aggressive buyers stepping in, shown by the CVD line, cumulative volume delta. Maybe finding support at the 44.35 level. Nope. Well, we'll see. Let's go see what options traders are doing again. So it looks like the call buyers have taken their foot off the gas. Traders continue to buy puts. Let's go back to Bookmap. So still looking bearish. CMB says the Fed indicates inflation remains elevated. So that was in the statement. Job growth slowed but remains strong. Let's check on NASDAQ. And Hunter, I'm not sure what DII is. I'm showing you what I trade here. ES, NASDAQ futures, and then primarily large cap stocks. So I don't trade the Dow Jones. Um, if you're interested in, again, one-on-one, want to talk about it, we can do that. But normally I don't trade the Dow. Most traders that I know trade either ES or NQ or the Russell 2000 RTY. But the two primary futures contracts, equity futures contracts and ETFs that I trade are S&P 500 and NASDAQ. All right, so sharp move lower in NASDAQ down to the 300 level, NQ 300 level, as well as the QQQ 368 level. Let's go take a look at Hero. Go to NASDAQ. So remember, we're on a 30-minute look-back period. So this looks bearish. Spotgamma talks about this when the call and put line are going in the same direction, either up or down. That's a very strong signal. So when traders are selling calls and buying puts, that's very bearish. All right, I'm going to go back to all day looking at the data for the entire day. Let's just take a look at the total signal. Still bearish. We can scan through some stocks real quick. See what traders are doing there. There's Apple. Definitely a bearish setup today. That was one of the setups that I was going to talk about. Apple, AMD, divergence short this morning. Sharp move up. Options traders really weren't supporting it. Price reversed lower. Great, Hunter. Again, just contact me through a DM direct message, and and we can set something up. All right, so AMD. Let's take a look at Meta. Maybe continues lower. Microsoft moving lower as well. NVIDIA. Let's just take a look at this. This was another great divergent short setup this morning. Notice the hero signal falling with price increasing, setting up a short. And NVIDIA continues to move lower. Let me just check something here. Interesting. So bonds are slightly higher. The note ZN is actually flat. And the ZB just a little bit higher. So actually the 10-year, 30-year actually slightly lower for the day. 2-year slightly higher. So I'm looking at treasuries. All right, let's scan through on Bookmap. Scan through some of these stocks. S&P 500, it looks like it is chopping around now. All right, let's go to Bookmap, take a look at some stocks. So it looks like NDX, NASDAQ, NQ may have found support at the 368, 300 level. Here's Apple. Short setup this morning. Talked about that. AMD. Divergent short after that sharp move up. Meta. Pretty similar pattern. Quick move up in the morning. Then price moving lower. Microsoft pretty much weak from the open. Trend break and a move lower in NVIDIA with that divergent short set up. Let's go back to the S&P 500. So possible support at the 44.35, 442 level. See what options traders are doing. All right, so there was a sharp drop. Traders taking negative delta positions. Consolidation, and now they are taking positive delta positions. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. All right, so similar drop lower, but more of a consolidation instead of a steep rise like the S&P 500. Let's go back to Bookmap. So now NASDAQ consolidating between 368, 369, let's go back to the S&P 500. Let's go back and check Hero. NASDAQ still flat to slightly rising, starting around 209. Let's see what traders are doing. It doesn't provide much clarity. The total signal helps more. So right around 209, traders started taking positive delta positions slightly. So the balance shifted slightly positive delta about 9 or 10 minutes after the announcement. Go back to the S&P 500. All right, so about the same time, the balance has shifted positive delta. And for the S&P 500, a little bit more prominent shift to positive delta about the same time as NASDAQ. Steeper line for Hero. Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, does anyone have any questions, any stocks that you want me to take a look at? Just let me know and I'll look at anything you want to. So it looks like at this point, the markets are in a waiting consolidation, waiting mode for the press conference that begins in 10 minutes. So a sharp move lower. Options traders continue to take negative delta positions. Then a consolidation. With support around the 44.35 level. Let's take a look at NASDAQ again. Same thing, quick move lower. Traders taking negative delta options positions. This drop in NASDAQ definitely fueled by stop orders, shown by the drop, the yellow line. Also that small red dot there, those are sell stop orders, fueled that quick move lower. Also some large traders in selling with iceberg orders. Those numbers are not significant, really, 50, but they were still helping to move NASDAQ lower. And large traders continue to sell with iceberg orders, shown by the falling light blue line in the subchart. So again, it looks like wait and see mode at this point. Let's check Hero, see what options traders are doing. So for the S&P 500, there was an initial burst higher about 210. Traders taking positive delta positions, and it looks like that has pretty much flattened off, leveled off. Go back to the shorter time frame. And that shows they are starting, they've really stopped taking positive delta positions, starting to take negative delta positions, although that line is definitely more choppy than the 1 day cumulative or look back period. Let's go to NASDAQ. So now it's turning more sharply negative. Let's take a look at puts and calls. So it looks like they have stopped buying calls, maybe slightly selling calls, started buying puts again. Add those lines together to get the total signal, and it is dropping. Again, wait and see mode before the press conference begins. Go back to Bookmap. All right, so net for the day, pretty bearish day. Again, the S&P 500 may be finding support at the 44.35 level, as well as the SPY 442. Cumulative volume delta definitely rising, aggressive buyers coming in. Note they actually started around 140, then came in right after the announcement. That was a small stop run, buy stops up to this liquidity in the order book. That green dot there, small green dot, shows that was 580 buy stop orders. Fueled that little jump higher to that liquidity in the order book. Those are resting sell orders. I can darken that up a bit. Limit sell orders. And now price moving higher. Let's go take a look at Hero again. So the Hero signal after 110 overall continues to move higher. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Remember, we're on a 30-minute look back period. Let's smooth that out a little bit. Still shows a lot of positive delta positions coming in right about 224, 223. Let's go to Bookmap. So it looks like NASDAQ has broken out of this QQQ range, the 369 to, or 368 to 369. NASDAQ has broken above the 369 level. All right, anyone have any questions, comments? I'm going to wrap it up in a couple minutes. Any stocks, again, if you have any stocks you want me to take a look at, please let me know. Let's just take a look at VIX, see what implied volatility is doing. So as a proxy for implied volatility, we'll look at VIX. Interesting. Sharp move lower, move higher, now moving down. Bullish signal. Let's see when the so it really started moving lower. Oh, around 215. So right around here for NASDAQ, the final test of the 300 level. And for ES, that was the final test so far of the 442 level. All right, looks like the press conference is about to begin. This is all I have for today. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you for your questions and comments. And I will see you tomorrow. We'll cover the aftermath of the FOMC announcement and press conference. Now it looks like, let's just take one quick look at Hero again for the S&P 500. That's odd price going lower and Hero going higher. Oh, that's for NASDAQ. NASDAQ. No, same for the S&P 500. So right at the moment, options traders we're not driving price for at least a few minutes. Oh, now price is responding. So Powell says he remains strongly committed to the 2% inflation target. All right, so anyway, it looks like the market likes what he's saying. So I'm going to wrap it up. Again, thanks everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments, and we'll cover the aftermath tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.